Who the hell does he think he is? Breaking all the rules. Why, this guy's so far out of the box, he could be an alien. Oh, that's scary. Is he an alien? Is he a real wizard?
Yeah.
Of course he is, and this is the Harvey Wizard Show. So put your hands together for the 65-year-old badass himself, Harvey Wizard!
Thank you. So this is where I get to take full advantage of being virtually untouchable from my U.S. presidential campaign headquarters here in Costa Rica. And it's time for another episode of Scumbag Spotlight. My guest today is Gordon Millis. In 2019, Gordon survived something most people wouldn't survive. After closing his nightclub in the early hours of the morning, he returned to the building to retrieve his cell phone. What happened next sounds more like a movie than real life. According to Gordon, he was ambushed by armed robbers, beaten, duct-taped to a chair, and trapped inside the club while the attackers searched the property. As he attempted to escape through an emergency exit, the building exploded and burst into flames around him. Most people would think surviving that ordeal would be the end of the story. But for Gordon, it was only the beginning. What followed was a years-long battle involving insurance claims, disputed paperwork, unanswered questions, and a fight that he continues to this day. I'll let Gordon tell the story in his own words, and you'll see how John King, the John King law firm, and Jordan King fit into the story. They're in the Scumbag Spotlight. And now, Gordon Millis. In your own words, what happened from that night that the club was attacked?
We closed the club, and everybody went home. And as usual, I go down to the little convenience store to get me something to eat, usually a sandwich, because it's 5 a.m. And then I realized that I had left my telephone in the office because it was dead and I was charging it. I returned and I went to the club, to the front door. I unlocked the front door, and as I unlocked the front door, 3 guys with a gun rushed in, and they hold me with the gun and whacked me on the head a couple of times and asked me for the money. So I go over to the safe. It was a digital safe, and I unlocked it, and they as I opened the safe, my pistol was in there, and I grabbed my pistol and I turned around and I tried to shoot one of them, and they wrestled me with my pistol in my hand. It was a small .22 pistol, and I ended up shooting myself in the leg. And at that time, they threw me in the office chair, the rolling office chair, and they took duct tape and duct taped my arms to the handrails, to the side of it, so I was immobile. And then they pushed me out into the area, the club area, and they whacked me on the head a couple more times. And as they did that, they proceeded to ransack the club for money and valuables. I said, if I can get the door open, I can run to the back. If I can get out of here, I can run to the back of the club. And there was a ditch in the back that carries water for the irrigation canal. I said, I can run back there and jump in the ditch and hide from them. So as I'm listening and I don't hear anything, I kick the back door open with my foot, and I get the door open, and as I turn the chair around to roll the chair out, the building basically explodes because the air rushed in, and the boom of the fire blew me out of the building, and I flung upside down or backwards, and the tape broke. So I was able to get off of the chair. And at that time, I realized there was nobody in there. They were gone because the building was on fire. So I got loose, and I run to the front of the property and unlocked the gate as I was calling 911 for the fire department to come. And the fire inspector said that the reason it went so fast because the building had spray foam on it that they spray on there to insulate it, and that's very, very flammable. And I had a bruise on my head here where they beat me with the pistol, and then back here in the back I had a bruise, and later that's where I ended up getting the blood clots in my brain from the injury.
Okay, so, and as if this wasn't horrible enough and a miracle enough that you ended up alive, one would imagine, well, at least I'm insured because you were insured and you had a paid up insurance policy. So why are
Yes.
we, and how many years ago was this?
This was in 2019.
All right. So now we're going on 7 years and you haven't received a penny of the insurance money.
The only thing the insurance policy paid, they paid the note off on the building because my mother had borrowed money on the property to do some other things, but they paid the note off, and it was $125,000 that they paid off, but they refused to pay the balance of $550,000 for the building and property.
Sierra Title made a mistake when they did this conversion, and that mistake was transferred to the insurance policy for your burned down club. And right, and this is where we get back to the errors in emissions insurance that we discussed, because a company like Sierra Title knows that they may occasionally make a mistake like this, which is life-changing and catastrophic, and that's why they take this policy out, similar to a doctor who takes medical insurance in case he does make a mistake and gets sued, right? And that policy is super important because that was what would have enabled you to be whole from this. Like, oh, okay, the insurance company made a mistake, but they're insured against such mistakes, so now at least I'm getting my money. And this is where John King, the John King Law Firm, comes into it, because John King Law Firm, they own everything. I mean, they own Sierra Title, they own a bunch of law firms, they own a bunch of stuff, and it seems like they're in with a bunch of good old boys. They're in Texas. I mean, everybody in Texas knows they've got good old boys. And the key here is that Texas allows people in John King's situation, a title company, they allow them to self-insure, meaning it's not going to be insurance through a major policy for their errors of emission. They're saying, we don't want to pay premiums. If we make a mistake, we will make it whole ourselves. We will take care of it. That's what
absolutely.
And that's what they told the insurance commission, which is full of good old boys, which is why it's 7 years later and you haven't gotten your money, because now when the whole thing gets figured out, oh, okay, it's a mistake on the part of Sierra Title, which is owned by the John King Law Firm. So you're calling John King, or I don't know if you're speaking to him much, you're probably speaking to whoever's at the front desk, and you're basically saying, hey, where's my $550,000?
All I've done, I've sent letters to the Texas Department of Insurance, the realtor commission, everything, and they all just say, well, there's nothing we can do. I says, I cannot be self-insured if I own a car. Just put the license plates on and say, oh, if I hit somebody, I'll pay for it. They don't allow that. And I have been at this since 2019. And since then, I have had a stroke and a heart attack. and I'm not in good health, and I attribute most of this to the stress and the aggravation of fighting these people. You know, I tried to get an attorney to do this for me, and they wanted between $10,000 and $20,000 to take the case.
With
Well, I'm already out.
Yeah, and there'd be no
Well,
there would be no guarantee of success. I
yeah.
mean, you just pay the money, and either it's like going to this casino a little bit with these guys, right?
So that's where we are, and I need help.
Well, I'm doing my best to help you, and everybody who's watching this can help you as well, because the good thing in all of this, excuse me, is that, well, in addition to having no integrity, clearly, John King and the John King law firm are greedy mothermuckers, and which we can see. And that means they want your business. They want more Sierra Title business. But should anybody do business with a law firm who would turn around and screw you out of $500,000? If that's how they treat other people, remember, see, and more women getting ready to marry a man who's a cheater should think about this. If he cheated on his first wife, he's going to cheat on me. So if you do business with the John King law firm, you can expect to be treated as royally as our friend Gordon. Gordon, thank you for telling your story.
Thank you, Harvey. You know, you're the only one that I've had to listen to me about this.
Well, you're fun to listen to, although this is a sad story. I enjoy the other ones better. Anyway, thank you, and we're going to do our best. And if you're watching or listening, sharing this, especially in Texas, is the best thing that we can do. The numbers count. There will be a point where John King will have to pay out of embarrassment and business loss. That's the idea. That was Gordon Millis. And whether you agree with Gordon's conclusions or not, it's hard to listen to that story without recognizing the toll it's taken on him. The robbery, the fire, the injuries, the years of frustration, the financial loss, and the ongoing fight for what he believes he's owed have clearly become a major chapter of his life. And who would say he's wrong? There was errors in emissions insurance that was supposed to cover it. A smart lawyer, the John King law firm, is taking advantage of someone who maybe doesn't have the financial resources to fight them, to stretch it out and never really have to pay. So if you think stories like this deserve more attention, consider sharing this interview. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with anyone who would like to see the ugly truth, and keep an eye out for the next episode, because we're not backing down, and neither should you. This is Harvey Wizard signing off from Costa Rica, your untouchable guide to seeing the truth no one else will tell you.